Today we've come down to Mill Farm Fishery in West Sussex, one of my old haunts and probably I would say one of my favourite day ticket venues. Girlfriend Dad Mick's come down. He's been enjoying a bit of float fishing, catching lots of silvers, haven't you?
I have indeed.
Mr Deeks has annoyingly joined us as well and pinched my rod on a couple of occasions, come down into this swim and had a couple of sort of like £8-9 pound commons and a crucian. And I wanted to come down here just to experiment on the eels because we know it holds a few eels, and I'm just trying out the bolt rigs, and unfortunately it's been really slow. We've only had the one run and a small eel, about 2.5 pounders, graced our net. Lewis did a very quick catch and release. Or did I have a hole in my landing net? So unfortunately no photo of that one. So just nice to come back, really peaceful.
You did have a hole in the net.
I know, it was not very good fishing, that one, but we did get it in the net. And just come down here and we just had a couple of carp, and it looks hopefully Mick will look into a bit of a lump in a minute and give him a run around. But it's nice to be back, nice and peaceful, and very, very fond memories of this place, haven't we, Mick?
We have indeed.
So,
silvers, etc.
Etc. We'll be back again and give it a few sessions throughout the summer. 8th of June, I'm down at Bagshot Lee. I've got young Tom Stratford Tuke with me. We've returned to see if we can get him a catfish. The bait boat's come into use. Got 4 rods out there with big pellets on. Hopefully sometime in the night, one, if not a couple of those will rip off.
You knew that.
I would say that's probably one of the quietest nights I've ever known catting on the Lee. We did say it, been told it'd been fishing tough, but one of Tom's rods has just ripped off, and he's got a constellation carp. Not the biggest, but it's nice to get a fish on the bank on such a quiet night. So you're a bit slow getting out your sleeping bag, weren't you, Tom? I'm down at the new lake, and I've actually set up for the night, which is not quite really like me because I'm doing a tench session, but I just thought it'd be nice to get down the evening, bait up, fish the night, and then be up at sort of 3:30 in the morning, having the swim already baited, top it up and see if there's a tench about. You never know. This might be an evening, it might be a night water, but normally tench feed in the morning, so at least I'll be here at the crack of dawn. The worm baits to go out. I know this is a good lake for eels, or there's some big eels in here, so you never know, if I get a few pickups, a few bite-offs or a few missed runs, it'll be worth coming back with the eel rods. I teamed up with my mate Chris. He's going to fish boilie over the chop worm today because you never know. This lake gets a lot of boilies, so the tench might be tuned into that. So we're sort of like edging our bets. But tomorrow morning we'll both be on the worm kebabs, and hopefully the alarms sound and we'll have a nice tench to show you. It's 9:30 in the morning. Sadly, no fish to show you from last night. I tried to fish the worm kebab through the night, but soon gave up because there's obviously a lot of eels in here. My indicators came alive as it got dark, and I was getting stripped of all the worms. I suppose that's something to go on because I like a bit of eel fishing, and if they were really small bootlaces, then I'm sure they would have hooked themselves. And anyone that eel fishes will know that big eels can be quite difficult at times to catch. So I'll be back with the eel rods and having a go. But I wound the rods in, cast them back out at 3 o'clock this morning. I had 2 screamers which were very strange. I'm not fishing far out at all, but when I picked the rod up, just didn't feel right, and I think they were just massive liners, but I can't be 100% sure. But usually on the helicopter rig, if a tench picks it up, it's hooked anyway. So very, very strange. I also had a couple of bleeps and a drop back, and I think that was a tench getting away with it. Chris had the boilies out all night, nothing, and he's also had very little to show for this morning on the worm kebab. So we knew it would be difficult, but you get a bite on this lake and it could very easily be a double figure tench, and it could actually be something very, very special. So a little bit disappointed, but that's part of learning a new venue and specimen fishing. So we'll be back, we'll give it another go. We're running a bit out of time now, but these are deep venues, so I still think we've got a couple of weeks. Great Pond, and with Pete, my customer for the night and morning. Pete was really after some rudd last night, and although we caught rudd, we never caught any big ones up to about £1, which is great for the future. Swapped over now to the helicopter rig for tench, piled a bit of ground bait in, and this is his second one. Sounded like another one just roll out there. Down at Frensham Great Pond with Pete and Kirk. We fished for rudd last night without any success on anything big, caught lots of small ones. Switched over to tench this morning, and they've had, as you can see, a few. Well, good morning. I'm down at Johnson's today. First night I've done for many, many years. We were meant to be going to Frensham, having a guided trip with John, who's next door, to see if we could catch him a big rudd, but plan B came into operation for one reason and another. Last night I fished up to midnight, rods had just gone out, and I'm now up to 34 fish. I'm trying to avoid the crusions. I know that sounds strange, but I thought I'm going to bring my Frensham rigs to Johnson's and just fish maggot popped up on a maggot feeder. I've also got a ground bait feeder with popped up maggot. Try and catch a £2 roach or rudd. We've had a few now, but it's mainly tench that are showing. I did have a 3-7 crusion yesterday evening into darkness, but I'm not fishing at the 35-yard range or the flatbed feeder or plastic baits. It's proper maggot, freewheel maggots popped up. Fishing at distance, I'm at 17 wraps, so I'm in the middle of nowhere, probably further than most crusion anglers fish, and a bit short to the carp anglers, but as I say, 34 fish so far, so it's been pretty hectic. Mainly tench, a few little carp, roach rudd, and then you know, the odd crucian showing up as well. So I'm going to fish till about midday, give it about 6 more hours and see how many fish I can catch. Well, we all know Johnson for the specimen crucians, and I've got one to show you here. I am as pleased catching that little fella. In fact, I've had 3 or 4 of these fishing at distance as I am catching a 3-pounder, because it shows there's a new stock coming through for the future. Happy days. Well, we're meant to be fishing for silvers, but John's changed his tactics to what bait came on?
That, believe it or not, was a tail of a worm on a 16 hook.
Yeah, not the biggest in Johnson's, at a mid 2, but I've had something like 9 cruies now this morning. So I'll show you a few of mine later, but we're getting quite a few fish. How many fish you had? About 20 now, John? Lost count. I think I'm on 40 now. So Johnson's is beginning to fish its head off. Well, the rods are out, but these are my last casts. It's been quite a hectic session actually. It's just nice to come and catch some fish. And it's a long time since I caught probably 50 fish at Johnson's. Unfortunately, a lot of my better fish came yesterday evening, and I just kind of thought, you know what, I'll wait till tomorrow morning and I'll catch a couple of nice crucians and have those for the camera. But trying to take night shots is not easy. I'm catching a few little tench now and the odd crucian, but nothing of any size. So it's nice to see plenty of fish being caught, but it's gone very quiet now, and I've got a family of tufties out there, little ones, and I really don't want to go hooking one of those. Down at Frensham, and what a night that was in the sense of weather. I don't think we've all agreed that that was probably the worst conditions we've ever fished in, but the tencher turned up. Pete's had one 8-9, which is bigger than anything I've ever had here in 30 years, and it's his first ever tench, and now Steve's into a good fish. So we're getting into a few fish in the morning. Has been fishing tough, but they're getting a few fish now. I think they've both had PB tench. This one's taken the other line out, or one of Steve's line out, but unbelievable. In the net she goes. Well done, guys. We're down at Frensham Great Pond. I've got Pete and Steve with me for a tench session. The weather last night was appalling, probably the worst night where, you know, conditions we've ever fished, but the rudd showed, but nothing big, the odd tench. Then this morning, back on the tench tactics, and both the lads are having PBs. Pete, what was that, 8-9?
Yeah.
And Steve, you've had a PB as well,
6,
I think.
5, yeah.
And this is just part of the catch. There's half a dozen or more they put back. So, well done, guys, you've done well.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Well, we're just up doing a bit of predator fishing on one of the weirs on the Thames. Had a smaller one a minute ago. Great fun on the little live baits. Little kind of 4-ounce tip, watching for the bites. Just nice to come up and get some action.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I am now.
We're up on the Thames in a new weir pool, having a bit of fun with the predators. I think we've dropped the live baits here, there and everywhere, and this swim you just drop in, count to about 20 and it's away with pike up to, I don't know, about 6 or 7 pounds. Quite
yeah.
really powerful fish here, great fun, just on the light rods. So yeah, it's nice to be back on the Thames and catching a few. Well done, buddy.
Cheers,
Down at Frensham Great Pond. Jeff's my customer today. He's never fished this place. Bit of an experience, isn't it, been, Jeff?
Very much so. It's been really enjoyable. Really enjoyable.
Beautiful lake. Weren't expecting too much because it is hitting 30 degrees now. It's one of the hottest days of the year, but you've had 3 tench. Biggest was 710, wasn't it?
710,
so
yeah.
Cracking morning. Oh, that might be a little bleep. Another one coming. So yeah, just slide her back, mate, and back she goes. And then here's another one. Ooh,
Actually, that one might be bigger, I think.
that one's bigger, mate.
It's the bigger one, isn't it?
Yeah. And
Oh,
that
well.
one's the bigger one. Down at Frensham with my good mate Paul Garner. This place is normally good to us, as you know, and we haven't been out long, and I've had a tench and now Paul's into one, so looks like it's going to be a short morning because it's going to 31, 32 degrees today. So what a brilliant place to fish. Well done, bud.
Thank you, mate.
Down at Johnson's with Dom. He wanted to be showing the zigs, and there you have it. Not quite a 20, nice scaly one. Gave him a bit of fun and games in the weed, but we lost one earlier, so we've only been fishing the zigs for 3 hours. Managed to get one, so it's now back to the cruise end on.
Yeah.
Having a good year, haven't you, mate?
Not bad, not bad.
New method, result. Well done, bud.
Cheers.
Good evening, welcome to the banks of the River Thames. It's the 21st of July, and amazingly this is only my second session on running water since the season opened. I'm hoping that a barbel might show, but I must admit my first sight of a barbel on this stretch wasn't one that I wanted to see. It was belly up going downstream. It just proves the importance of taking your time to recover these fish if you are fortunate to catch one. I followed the fish downstream and managed to get a canoeist landing it to him, but by the time we got to the fish, an elderly gentleman fishing downstream had watched it as it had gone down, walked alongside the bank next to it, and it actually flipped and actually gone down. So fingers crossed that fish will be all right, but just take your time if you are fortunate to catch one, and yeah, make sure they go back safely. As I said, I haven't fished this stretch before, not for barbel. I haven't really fished for barbel for quite a few years, so the rod's going out. I'm sort of edging my bets just for bite, fishing the pellet, so I'm sort of expecting a few bream to turn up, but if they do, I won't be disappointed because it's all learning a new stretch. So yeah, fingers crossed, and you never know, I might be into a good fish later. Well, down at Johnson's with my girlfriend's dad Mick. We're just taking turns in runs on my rods, and it's just nice to get a few of these. The queries haven't turned up, but she's a beaut, isn't she? Fishing the pellet cone again. just taking turns. I think Mick's had 4. This is probably my 3rd one, isn't it? I had a little one earlier. Just having good fun. Coming to the end of July now, and August and September look much better for me, getting some time out and having a fish myself. So stay tuned in, and hopefully we'll have some good fish to show you in August and September.